Hi, here we are back inside the world's worst movie theater, and here we are, ladies and gentlemen. The top 10 worst movies I have ever seen begins tonight. Or the bottom 10 worst movies, whichever way you want to put it. Bottom line, we're starting to get to the crux of the list here. These movies that we're going to be talking about over the next 10 weeks are the worst of the worst. The bottom of the barrel. The worst movies I have ever seen in my entire life starts tonight. So, how fitting that that numbers 10 and number 9 next week are a pair of female-led superhero movies. But, not just being bad female-led movies, but just being bad movies, period. And we'll start off with, of course, number 10 here, with Jennifer Garner in Elektra. Elektra was one of the most unpleasant movie-going experiences I had when I first saw this movie back in 2005. And in the history of going to the movies, there's only been 2 movies that I've ever walked on. And those 2 movies we will definitely get to later on in the list here. But this is a film that was one of those movies that I was so close to leaving the movie early. But I persevered, I survived, and let's be honest, you never really survive when you watch Elektra. Now, I have talked about this movie before in detail on Time About the Movie. So, what the heck, I'll go ahead and show you that right there, and because really I'm not going to add anything new that hasn't already been said already until pretty much at the end of it, which even then I think I already added something when I just did the review for this on Time About the Movies a couple months ago, but here's what I had to say a couple months ago. I said it with Blade a couple weeks ago, and I will say it with Elektra. Thank God for Deadpool and Wolverine giving this character a purpose for existing, because, man, she really needed it after this movie came out. Nobody wanted to see anything from Daredevil anymore. And I can't blame them, because I'll tell you people something. I've been going to see movies on my own for about half a year at this point. When I saw this movie, it was the first real unpleasant movie-going experience I ever had. And it was rough. It was definitely a very rough movie. And I've had far worse experiences since then. Stuff like The Spirit, Aliens in the Attic. I had stuff with problems with The Legend of Tarzan and Oppenheimer from the people in the movie theater, but this was the first real big one right there, and it's amazing I didn't walk out of this movie. I was strong back then. I'm still strong when it comes to bad movies. I will sit through them no matter what, and even though, like this past weekend, I struggled to sit through Borderlands, but I got through it, and yeah, Borderlands is pretty bad. But this is definitely pretty bad too. So the plot of the movie here is that it's not long after recovering from seemingly mortal wounds, Elektra, played by Jennifer Garner, has severed all ties with the world, living only for her next assignment. But in an unexpected turn of events, she is forced to make a decision that could take her life in a new direction, or destroy her. Key players in Elektra's journey are Stick, played by Terrence Stamp, a blind martial arts master responsible for Elektra's resurrection, and Mark Miller, played by Goran Visnik, and Abby Miller, played by Kirsten Prow, a father and daughter on the run from The Hand, a powerful syndicate whose members practice the dark martial arts of the Jitsu. First off, The Hand is... I didn't realize that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was actually parroting the Hand by calling them the Foot Clan. I found that out watching the Nostalgia Critic review, but that synopsis alone should describe everything that's wrong with this movie. It throws in some of the stupidest cliches in film, and I'm so sick and tired of like having a mythical spirit who has no purpose because the film has no connection with Daredevil at all. And Stick was the one who helped Daredevil become the hero he would eventually become. Plus, they throw in that stupid father-daughter plotline that really does not serve a purpose to the story whatsoever. The action sequences overall are poorly done, with no sense of fear or danger by anybody in here. The story is very bad. We don't like any of these characters that this movie is trying to get us to like. And Jennifer Garner, I'm sorry, in this movie she's not Elektra. She's just not. This was clearly a poor excuse to attempt to squeeze whatever life was left out of Daredevil, and it fails miserably. Yeah, I know she was an Alias at the time. Yeah, I know she did 13 going on 30. But, man, this was a bad decision on her part. You could tell that they did not give a shit about Daredevil, because in that trailer I showed you, no mention of from the forces that brought you X-Men and Daredevil. They knew this movie was going to tank so badly, they didn't even want to put Daredevil's name in there. I mean, that's how bad this movie is. Yeah, it's not Catwoman bad, but man, it's definitely not a good movie. And yeah, but my biggest problem with the film itself is the main character. And my biggest problem is the film itself and the main character is what I'm trying to say. And I've gone on before how, female leads are portrayed in films, and this is one of those movies where they pretend to show off a strong female hero, but is actually a poor excuse to give the character a lot of sex appeal, a lack of characters, and there's even a scene there's one scene in particular where one of the bad guys, who was a female, comes in and gives Elektra a lesbian kiss, and yeah, for no reason, because what I expect to get those 13-year-olds watching this a little hard on, which, yeah, I realize how bad that sounds, but that's literally what they're doing in this movie. I feel like they only did that to get the PG-13 rating. I mean, that's literally, like, it just does not make any sense whatsoever. I mean, when will, I think now Hollywood is learning that it's not hard to make a movie with a strong female lead in it. I mean, we've seen a lot of TV shows and movies do this. The Fargo movie, and TV series have done that. Some great underrated little gems. Whip It. Juno was a great movie that did that. Hannah, which I didn't like, I at least gave him credit for writing a much better female character than a lot of these movies that were doing the same thing at around the time. Yeah, like, it's not that hard to make a strong female character who's on the same level of the lead male character. Hell, Ellen Ripley from the Alien movies tops the list there. I mean, but most Hollywood executives think one thing about women in films is that women are things. Just like Lee Majors says on Family Guy. What? Women are things. I mean, it's really like that. And we're getting away from that now, which I'm glad to see, but you could still see that Hollywood is living by that point when you watch shitty movies like Red Sonja, Catwoman, Sucker Punch Lucy, and especially this piece of garbage here. I mean, this is a terrible movie. The action is terrible, the story sucks, the characters are bad. This is a mess of a movie. I mean, forget Hulk, forget Howard the Duck, forget all the Marvel's movies made before 1998. This is the bottom of the barrel. This is the worst movie that Marvel has ever produced, without a doubt. It's completely pointless, unnecessary, and it's absolutely horrible. I hated it back when I saw it in theaters. I gave it time 10 years ago for a Marvelous May post I wrote. I didn't like it then. I watched it again just recently. I still fucking hate this movie so much. Avoid it like the plague, please. Avoid Elektra at all costs. Yeah, like I said, I pretty much covered everything I was going to say about this, not but a few months ago, but it doesn't change the fact that Elektra was yet another one of those really, really bad superhero spin-off movies that, they tried to spin off a character from another series, tried to make it kind of a standalone film, sort of, and failed miserably on that front too. So yeah, so not much more to say about this one. Elektra, it was pretty bad. Number 10 on the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. And yet there's one movie that's even worse than that. Another superhero movie that came out around this time period, featuring a character from an already preset universe, and this time just like with Elektra, they tried to set it up in their own universe. And we'll get to that next week. But before we leave you, if you want to see what I had to say about Shark Tale last week, go ahead and check out that video in the corner, and then also check out the playlist of all the other movies I've covered on here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.